Counting 1.4 billion people requires a $1.2 billion budget. India is about to begin the single largest administrative and statistical exercise on the planet. The ground operation requires deploying an army of over 30 million enumerators. They are tasked with recording the details of every single citizen across the subcontinent. India's last full census was completed in 2011. The 2021 count was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, creating a 16-year gap, the longest period the nation has gone without an updated headcount in its history. This 16-year delay transforms the 2027 census from a routine administrative task into a massive unfreezing of a nation that has spent years making policy in the dark. Look at India's demographic timeline. The first major blind spot is caste. The last time the entire population's caste was fully recorded was 1931. The second blind spot is political. Parliamentary seat distribution has been frozen based on 1970s population figures. India is a tech-forward superpower, but its federal government currently makes critical decisions about resource allocation and political boundaries based on demographic assumptions that are decades, and in some cases, a century old. The 2027 census is the point where these frozen metrics finally meet modern reality. It will pull decades of missing data into a single digital ledger, forcing a confrontation with how much the country has actually changed since the 1930s. Previous censuses were a highly manual process. Millions of workers physically marked buildings and recorded details on paper schedules, which then had to be collected and tabulated by hand. This time, India is executing its first fully digital census. Citizens have access to self-enumeration portals, and field workers will use standardized mobile apps, paired with precise GPS geomapping to track households in real time. The mobile app uses standardized drop-down menus designed to eliminate spelling errors and inconsistent data entry. This creates a uniform dataset, even when surveying people across 640,000 diverse, widely separated villages. This digital infrastructure is the tool that finally allows the government to track the nation's most complex and sensitive metric, caste. Categorizing the Indian population by caste is a monumental challenge. There are thousands of overlapping subcastes with names and classifications that vary wildly across different states. Proponents argue that precise demographic mapping is the only way to accurately target welfare programs. You need to know exactly who is marginalized to ensure that aid reaches the people who need it. Data from a recent Bihar survey shows the impact of accurate counting. Under old data, food subsidy beneficiaries were capped at 87 million. But the new survey revealed the actual eligible population is nearly 110 million. Over 22 million people were systematically excluded. On the other side, critics argue that officially mapping every subcaste will harden social identities. They fear that cataloging people this precisely gives caste an official permanence that makes it harder to dissolve historical divisions. There is also a severe political risk. Releasing granular data about which groups are the largest or most disadvantaged is likely to trigger demands for new reservation quotas, which can be exploited for political gain. The digital caste census is a double-edged sword, a highly effective tool for resource allocation, but it also provides a framework for intense political and social polarization. Beyond social identity, the census data will trigger delimitation, the redrawing of India's electoral boundaries to ensure parliamentary seats reflect current population distributions. This map illustrates the demographic divide over 50 years. Southern states successfully curbed population growth, while northern states experienced massive booms. Because parliamentary seats are tied to population, the 2027 data will likely shift representation away from the South toward the North. This creates the statistical basis for redrawing the geographic balance of power, effectively reducing the federal influence of states that succeeded in population control. There is also a deep layer of anxiety surrounding this digital collection effort, specifically within minority communities. This hesitation is tied to controversial policies like the National Register of Citizens and the Citizenship Amendment Act. Many fear that granular demographic and religious tracking could be weaponized. Without strong privacy protections, the data gathered by the census could be used to challenge an individual's right to citizenship. The 2027 mega census is the largest data collection effort in human history. By digitizing caste, population figures, and residency status, the government is building the statistical foundation that will determine which citizens receive aid and which regions hold power for the next decade.